I wish I were part of that conversation because I'm sure some really interesting things came up about each other and what it sounds like when you have someone trusted with you in the midst of hardship versus someone that doesn't. Uh, there's a lot of wisdom that comes with reflecting on things like that. So I hope you guys were able to kind of take it in for what it was and can learn from it. So as we continue to move from, okay, there's the science, and then okay, well, I'm bought in here, like okay, this makes sense to me. Like the more we trust, the more we experience stress and difficult situation and challenge differently. So okay, so what? How do we build trust? Um, so what I'd like to walk you guys through is for the rest of the time, you're not going to see me again. I'd like to share a framework for you that's worked for lots of teams that we've worked with, and it's just a powerful experience where you can see a whole other side to the human. We have stories where we had teams that went from totally um, distrust and assuming the worst, where a text message would come through from a person and saying like, "Oh, I can't believe that person," taking everything out of context and everything is the worst version. To after doing this exercise, they would they would read a text from someone like, "Oh, I'm so excited to hear from that person." Oh, it makes sense why they said that. There's a lot of power in understanding a person's story when you understand where someone's coming from and when you experience their willingness to share a vulnerable part of who they are. You're willing to give them more of the benefit of the doubt. The part that you can't prove, that's where doubt comes in. Story helps us fill that gap. And so that's what we're going to invite you guys to do is to share our stories and start to take a risk with each other and start to appreciate a whole other layer to how they show up at work. And so we did this in two ways. One was we invited you to share a song with the group. And so however you guys decided that you were going to curate those songs and play them, we'd like you to go around, and so start with the leader. Leader creates the space, and there you set the example. Um, Start with the leader of the group, and we want you to play your song. You don't have to play all of it, but play a snippet of it or play a meaningful part of it. And if you know the lyrics, kind of share them with them that are meaningful. And then share why did you pick that song? Why was it important to you or is it important to this team? There's a lot of truth in songs, and sometimes they can help us say things that we don't have words for. And they also just are fun to experience together. You never know what people are going to share. And then the second part is after you kind of share why you picked it, go into your story. Like, share an aspect of your upbringing that shaped the best parts of how you show up today. There's a lot of perspective and wisdom that can come from appreciating our stories. And what I'll tell you is many of you probably came with the safe version and you came with the risky version. And you're kind of deciding which version you're going to tell today. What I would encourage you, especially you leaders, you set the stage, try to reach for that a little bit more vulnerable version because that's the version that's probably going to go the farthest in helping this team really see the real version of you and the version of you they're willing to follow. And not just the leader, but everybody. And be willing to start to really appreciate in a whole new level. And then before you go on, because it's easy for us to be like, okay, good, whoo, we moved on. Don't move on yet. Stay on that person. Keep the spotlight on that person. And instead of just moving on, there's two things I'd love to happen in the room, and it's okay if it doesn't. But what I'd love you to try is one, try to first respond to the story and give that person a sense of validation that like they're not crazy for sharing it, and you notice some of the important parts of the story that mattered to them. And then two, can somebody, a couple people just share the best parts of that person that they appreciate? What's something you really appreciate that person that you could say out loud in front of the group? All right, so I'll let you guys get to it. I know there's a lot to do there. The first two might be a little bit weird and clunky, and that's okay. But you'll find your groove and just help each other out as you go through it. I wish I were there to be part of you guys. It's been a great pleasure. I hope you guys continue to learn and grow together. Take care.